In 2008, then-candidate Barack Obama said he would be the president who led the U.S. out of the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. But in Afghanistan, the Taliban and other extremist groups have regained control of major rural parts of the country, and some of these groups have pledged their allegiance to ISIS. With that in mind, President Obama announced this week that he will leave nearly 10,000 U.S. troops in Afghanistan for almost the rest of his term to go after terrorists and train and advise the Afghans. Joining me to talk about the president's announcement is Tony Perry, San Diego bureau chief for the Los Angeles Times. Tony, welcome. So we've seen ISIS regain, or actually not regain, but take over major parts of Iraq since the U.S. troop withdrawal and the collapse of that country's security forces. Now in Afghanistan, we've seen the Taliban take over the major city of Kunduz. Given that situation, did President Obama really have any other choice but to leave U.S. troops in that country? Well,
he certainly listened to the pleas, really, of the Afghan leadership and the advice of his military leadership, and so he's backed off on one of his promises, which was to bring all the Americans, except for embassy personnel and security guards at the embassy, to bring all the American troops home by the end of his term. Not going to happen. Going to leave 9,800 for most of 2016, and then bring the number down to 5,500 either later in 2016 or maybe early in 2017. So the next president, be it Republican or Democrat, will inherit this war, third president to and have the Afghan war on their plate, Bush, Obama, and whoever in 2017.
If the president hadn't made this decision, how ready were U.S., actually Afghan forces, to secure the country?
It's pluses and minuses to that. You get different discussions. Taliban did take over Kunduz, major city, and there was about a 2-week fight. They were pushed out, and I think we're going to see a lot of that back and forth, back and forth. There are other areas, and they've shown the ability the Taliban have to strike in Kabul, in Kandahar, in Jalalabad, a number of places, and also, of course, across the border from Pakistan, where they have a sanctuary. So they've shown a robust capability. The United Nations issued a report that said the U.S. military has been too optimistic, and has also issued another report that says that Taliban is pretty much in control of about 15% of the country, which is the most they've controlled since 2001. So as they say, the enemy gets a vote in war, and clearly the enemy here has voted to continue fighting and continue striking when and where they can.
So with those realities, despite public comments by the administration, was a full U.S. drawdown even an option?
Well, the president said it was, but it was never something, I think, favored by the U.S. military or the Afghan leadership. And so finally, the president had to make the fateful decision to go back on one of his most passionate promises to end both the war in Iraq, which he did, the U.S. involvement in one way in 2011. Now we're back with airstrikes and trainers, but not combat troops.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about that. So the president said America's combat mission in Afghanistan is over. Here's more of what he said.
While America's combat mission in Afghanistan may be over, our commitment to Afghanistan and its people endures. As Commander-in-Chief, I will not allow Afghanistan to be used as safe haven for terrorists to attack our nation again. Our forces therefore remain engaged in 2 narrow but critical missions: training Afghan forces and supporting counterterrorism operations against the remnants of al-Qaeda.
So, Tony, is that truly possible in a country as volatile as Afghanistan?
Or as large as Afghanistan, too. The 2 missions, the training, we've been doing a lot of training, and then the counterterrorism is a little opaque. What does that mean? Special forces in some ways? Certainly it means the drone strikes, which many of them, as we understand it, and we don't get a lot of information about the drone strikes, are out of Jalalabad, and we will continue to have forces there. So it is still a daunting task that 9,800 and soon to be 5,500 Americans are being asked.
So President Obama had wanted to bring both the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq to a full close. He hasn't been able to do that. Very quickly, how does that affect his legacy?
I don't think his legacy will be shaped by these two wars. I think the American public has checked out of these two wars. There isn't a draft. Nobody's sons are being drafted, or daughters, and sent to these wars. It'll be a minus, I would imagine, in the history books, but I don't see it as shaping what people think about the Obama presidency.
Okay, we have to close it there. Tony Perry, thank you so much.
Pleasure.